everybody, this is my first video after moving out of Mexico and also my first video in English. And I really hope that the content I create is well received in this new format. And I'm gonna try my very best to make you laugh, make you learn something, or even inform you of current events. Just doing my part to try to make the world a little bit better, one video at a time. So without further ado, I give you Top 5 Wars Fought for Dumb Reason. Number 5. Cake Wars. And no, I'm not talking about those influencers that fight to see who's got the biggest yacht. This is not trash content, people. In 1821, Mexico achieved independence from Spain. And as always, in times of political change, this, of course, caused some amount of civil unrest. Not because half of Mexico wanted to talk like this, hostia tío, que viva España, que viva el rey, que viva el orden y la ley. And the other half just wanted to try the spiciest stuff they could find, and maybe take a nap on their cacati. But because in the following years, there was a lot of fighting between the government and the rebels, which often it resulted in damage to the properties of the civilians. One of these properties was a bakery that belonged to a French chef. The bakery was ransacked and pillaged by sweet-toothed Mexicans. So the chef applied for compensation to the government. But of course the government had bigger problems to deal with. You know, the little stuff, like preventing an insurrection, or maybe another coup d'etat. After the denial, of course the chef was really mad. So he asked the King of France directly for help, to which the king complied and demanded that the Mexican government pay compensation to the chef and then some. And I would dare to say that the sweetest part starts here. You get it? Sweet? We're talking about cakes? When the Mexican government refused, the French started blockading ports all around Mexico. And then, because of this, Mexico declared war on France. This war lasted for 4 months, and it didn't stop only until the Mexican government agreed to pay for the bakery, but not a peso more. Now, I don't know who's dumber for this, the French dude, the Mexican government, or the French government. Literally everybody in this story spent resources they didn't have. I'm guessing just because of their pride. Number 4. The War of the Golden Stool. Imagine you're living in 1896 and you have a chair that you absolutely love. But more than that, that chair is a symbol for you and your family, because you're the only one allowed to sit on it. It's yours and your family's pride.
Oh, well, king in the castle, king in the castle. I have a chair, I have a chair.
And then, a person from 2 towns over that you've never met learns about the chair and demands to sit on it. The Ashanti Kingdom, now a part of modern-day Ghana, was coveted by the British Empire. In 1896, King Prempeh refused to become a part of the British Protectorate, and so the British forcibly protected the kingdom. Yeah, just like that kid that used to bully you. We'll see how other bullies will try to bully you, and he will step in and be like, hey, 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 that's my victim right there. And then he will boast about how he protected you, but will take your lunch money anyway. The Golden Stool was a symbol of power in the Ashanti Kingdom. It was shrouded with mysticism and spiritualism and all that type of mumbo jumbo. It was so sacred to the people that no one was allowed to sit on it, because they believed it fell from the sky and it contained the soul of the entire nation. But of course, like the British are when it comes to foreign riches, Sir Frederick Hudson decided that he would like it very much if he could sit on the stool. No good reasoning behind it. He just learned how important this stool was for the people, and he decided he was good enough to sit on it. But of course, the Ashanti people were outraged, and this triggered a war that unalived 3,000 people and lasted for 6 months. This war ended when the gatekeeper of the Golden Stool was captured, and many years later, the Golden Stool was discovered and returned to a ceremonial place. Number 3. the Soccer War of 1969.
Giggity, giggity, crabbity, giggity.
Every 4 years, the World Cup intensifies local rivalries. Usually, it doesn't get any worse than singing rude songs about the opposition, or maybe a little tussle outside of the stadium after the game. But in 1969, there were two teams trying to qualify for the 1970 World Cup, Honduras and El Salvador. On their first bout, Honduras won 1-0 against El Salvador. On their second bout, El Salvador won 3-0 against Honduras. And the people from Honduras couldn't take that loss. Yes, apparently a whole nation needed therapy, or a different hobby at least, because they started to assault Salvadorian communities. They were dragging people out of their homes and beating them on the streets, and they even fired shotguns aimed at the coaches of the team. There was still chance though. There was a playoff match that was gonna be held in Mexico between the two countries. El Salvador won that bout 3-2 for Honduras, which should have settled the grudge, but El Salvador was not happy about all the assault that their people suffered, and demanded that the responsible parties were prosecuted because, according to them, what they did constitutes as genocide. But of course, Honduras didn't comply to that request. So in response to this, El Salvador cut all diplomatic ties with Honduras, and not only that, attacked a lot of important places using their air force. And just in case that wasn't enough, El Salvador invaded Honduras. And after 4 days of fighting, El Salvador withdrew their troops from Honduras. It's estimated that each side suffered 2,000 unalivings and injured each. And not only that, you gotta understand, 300,000 people were displaced because of a match. A soccer match. In my opinion, if you want to be passionate about something that someone else is doing, don't pick something that they suck at. Because if your team sucks, you're gonna be pissed off constantly. I would know. I'm Mexican. I'm surrounded by soccer fans. Fans of a team that sucks. Number 2. War over a very special camel. And I'm talking about the actual animal. I know there has been several disputes over the toes of a camel, if you know what I mean, but I won't be covering those today. This is about the Tagleb and the Bakr tribes. It all started when the Tagleb leader unalived a camel which has strayed onto his land. Unfortunately, the camel belonged to the wife of the opposing tribe's leader. Now, I don't know if this war was purely out of pride, or maybe that camel was very special for the lady and was doing her some special favors too. And that right there marked the start of their war. The Bakr leader, considering that maybe, just maybe,
that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
sent his son to negotiate a truce. But of course, the Tagleb unalived him too. Then everybody swore vengeance on everybody, and the war continued for 40 years. Number 1. Eye for an eye, ear for a country. This war started with Captain Robert Jenkins, who had his ear chopped off in 1731 by a Spanish privateer. Now, the reason the ear was chopped varies from source to source. According to Jenkins, he did nothing wrong and was just punished for it. Others say the chopped ear was indeed a punishment because Jenkins was a smuggler. And other sources say that Jenkins liked to pillage Spanish vessels, and the loss of his ear happened in one of those endeavors. At the end of the day, we might never know what actually happened, but some years later, Jenkins requested an audience with the British Parliament. And of course, he told his side of the story. Apparently, everyone present was really shaken by Jenkins' story. So much so that even the king demanded justice and declared a war with Spain. Said war lasted for 9 years and ended in 1748. All because of an ear. Imagine if they met Van Gogh. He chopped his own ear, and he was good. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the list. And of course, I take recommendations for any subject you want to hear about in the future. And by any subject, I mean any subject worth talking about. Thank you for your time and stay safe.